road maintenance is gonna be for a winter. You have no idea. It could be
Agreed.
$50,000 more than it was the prior year. So you take all your money and then you have to borrow money the next year to pay that. It
And then-
doesn't make any sense to not keep reserves when you
But
have.
you're 10 times over the allowed amount though, by law.
Okay, Josh, to what you were asking me before, what I had planned for next year, I haven't gone through the committee yet, but we're gonna finish Tamarack Road, which would be roughly $60,000. And Carlin Trail's got a bad spot that's gonna have to be the same thing, pulverized and done, it's only 3/10 of a mile, but you got mobilization. I'm guessing that's gonna be roughly 30,000, just for that 3/10 of a mile, because you have that. And then when you start seal coating, I was gonna propose seal coating all of Blue Spring Lake next year, Little Prairie Road the following year, and Young Road the year after that. And we have Marsh Road coming up, which is the one that we're gonna try to get that grant for, which has the agricultural traffic. And that's for the railroad tracks toward Whitewater, it's pretty much gonna have to be completely redone. So it's gonna cost a lot of money to do that. And if we spend all that money now, we're not gonna have anything in 2 years to do that.
And they're very strict on levies now. So,
The levy limit can be exceeded by a vote of the town.
and you
members.
lose all you'll lose the shared revenue then. Once you start going above your levy limits, they're getting really strict. They don't want you to be, going up or anything. One thing is, a lot of the stuff hasn't come in, so, you know, there's still some money that, that general fund that possibly isn't in there, what you're adding in. I think so, yeah.
Larry, if I'm correct, I'm understanding that nothing has been decided by this board as to what money they're going to spend and for what, and it's not budgeted at this point
On what?
on these roads, on what Josh is suggesting in his motion.
Ed just said what he wanted.
Well, yes, but that's not an official statement. It's not an action that's been taken by the board. It's theoretical. It may happen and it may not. There's no obligation at this point for you to do that or anything else.
Well, I guess the question to the town people is, what do you want your town to be like? Do you want your roads fixed, or you don't want your roads fixed? And if you don't want your roads fixed, that's up to you as a town. But you guys are making that decision by holding our hands or tying this levy. But that's totally up to you all, because you all live in this town just like the rest of us. So how nice do you want your town to be?
Actually, what I
That's my
think we'd
question
like
that I
is
have.
for the undesignated reserves to be used for the benefit of the town, not to be held in a checking account or in an LGIP account, but to be designated for specific uses for the benefit of the town, which they are not now. That's what we're saying.
Because basically, right now, they're just sitting in limbo. There's no earmarking for any of that money. It's just, well, it's in a general account, it's in LGIP. Well, that's all fine and dandy. I could sit on $300,000 too for X amount of years and then watch my roads go to HE double hockey stick for 5, 6 years, you know?
But that's not been
Another issue
happening.
of taxing for surplus.
According to Larry, it has been happening. The roads are going apart and we haven't been spending money on it.
I don't think it's a matter of.
I formed a road committee for the specific purpose of spending all the money that's available to repair the roads. That's why we have a road committee. That's their job, is to find out what roads need to be repaired and spend the money to repair them.
And that's,
And if there's, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, if there's, but Ed's saying $100,000, that leaves $200,000.
That's, 100,000 is just that one, those two projects.
Okay, well, that's
Seal
what I'm
coating is
asking.
roughly $15,000 a mile, Blue Spring Lake is 2 miles, that's another 30,000.
Well, then can we
Plus
allocate more than that?
Plus then, right, that's what I wanted to do, that's what I said I was gonna propose, taking 100,000 out of the LGIP this year to put in for the highway, and I was going to spend what I could on that.
Right, and then that's what I'm
Because
saying, that's what I'm
these
asking.
roads are in such bad shape, And I did minimal this year. I was new at it, I didn't know what I was doing when I got into it. I did the best I could this year, not knowing how much I should spend. Next year I'll have a better idea of it.
I understand that, and I thank you, but what I'm saying is, okay, there's another 200,000 sitting there. Is that going to be allocated? Is there a plan for that? Another 100,000 for roads or other
For next
projects?
year?
To better the community?
If I put $100,000
But if it's just
extra a
sitting there,
year,
though,
and if I put an extra 100,000 a year in, that's gonna be gone in 2 years. And then if you wanna do a big project, do you wanna borrow money to do a road project?
Yes.
well, but I guess that's my question is, if there's still a couple 100,000 there, what are the plans for that? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, come to my meetings and.
Well,
you
not
can
not
put-
necessarily just the roads though. I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. You know, the roads aren't in good shape, but I guess my question is, the couple 100,000, okay, the snow falls, we spend an extra 50 there. I guess that's what I'm wondering is, what, are there plans in the budget for any of that? Or are we just going to sit on a couple 100,000 again until next year? Or is that going to go up by next year?
I'd like, Josh, go ahead. Can you repeat your motion once more, just to make sure we all understand what it was?
To reduce the tax levy by $33,475, less than posted, for a total of $238,743 for 2013-14. And I guess my concern going into this is that, coupled with a lot of other concerns by a lot of other people about expenditures, one being legal, various things throughout the budget, if that is the goal of the board, is to truly try to improve the roads that are within our community, the presented posted budget did not even reflect that goal, because it was not up to your $5,000 per lane mile maximum that you could have. And sitting from the outside looking in and not knowing going forward that there is a road plan in place that has been voted and acted upon by the board, that money, the in-between amount that could be between what was posted and what's allowable without going to the electorate, is essentially used somewhere else for some other purpose without it being designated. I understand that we've got over 35 miles or 35 miles of roads within our community, and there's a fair amount of that needs work. The problem is that you can't go from turtle speed to rabbit speed in 1 year and try to recover that. There has to be some sort of stepped improvement to it, and without knowing next year, if that's the plan for next year's road improvements, that's one thing. Obviously, there's other actions that happen in between time, but without having a plan in place as to where we're going and what the actual future capital outlay is for those types of projects, it's hard to look at it when we've got $300,000 in equity to use on things like that, plus the additional $20,000 allowable in the budget, and really believe that that's gonna happen. No offense, but boards have their own decisions and everybody's got their own power to vote, so that's my concern with it.
I think I'd like to call the question. Mr. Chairman?
Is discussion over? We can only call a question if discussion's over.
Is discussion over?
I don't know. Does anyone else have any discussion?
If we lower the levy, it's almost impossible to raise it again.
No, it's not.
That's not true.
That's not true. The vote of the electorate can raise it.
And you're gonna raise it again. You wanna lower it, you wanna make us look bad, that's fine.
No, it's not that at all. The levy is artificially raised by this note.
No, we didn't raise it to where the note is.
Then I understand that.
But it is.
Total of the note. I'm saying
It is
the
artificially
payment
raised because of the note.
artificially raises the levy, because there was money in the budget to pay that. So the loan was taken, so it artificially raises the levy by that amount of the payment.
If the note is paid off next year, that's $33,000 will be available to go back into your budget. Correct.
Any other discussion? There's a motion, and a second on the floor.
And I call the question.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see a secret ballot. Written ballot.
You wanna see a written ballot, a secret ballot?
I would agree with that, but I would like you to do an exact count of the number of people in the building prior to that.
And only town residents.
Is there anyone here that's not a town resident? Two? Just two?
3,
3, 4, Don, 4. Four of you, okay.
There's only three.
There's 3 or 4?
Three.
Let's get some ballot paper.
She's not?
Oh, she is.
Oh, she raised her hand as not a town resident.
I live right down the road.
I count 30. Can somebody do another count just to make sure?
There were how many nominated? I counted 30. 30 ballots, we need ballot paper, here we go. Make ballots. Pardon?
Mr. President,
Yep.
what was the law making the ballots? Did you explain the effect of the vote? My understanding is that a yes vote would decrease the levy by $33,000.
That's correct.
That there would be an option also if that failed, if the no votes carried, that if there would be an option also for another motion to set a different kind of levy?
Yes. I
correct.
would suspect that we would go with our proposed levy.
Not without a motion.
There'd have to be a motion.
I mean, with a motion.
So there'd be an option for another motion?
There'd be an option for
if-
another
If this motion
If this-
fails?
Right.
Nice.
We do need to adopt the levy.
So a yes vote would be to decrease the proposed levy by $33,000.
Yes.
A no vote would be to not take that and to wait for another.
To adopt the proposed levy of 272. I mean, another
A
motion.
no vote would mean there'd be a.
There'll be a new motion to adopt the proposed levy,
Or adjust it.
or adjust it up.
Somebody could make a new motion.
Yeah, you could adjust it up if you want.
Right.
You want name and vote. You want the name of the person and the vote.
Name and vote.
First and last.